from the oldest city in the USA, St. Augustine tonight, with our guests, Anne Kraft, Debra Ingram, musical guest, Dennis Fermin, and your host, Jorge Rivera.
Here we are, still rolling, still cooking here. As always, we like to start our show thanking all our sponsors. We have people like Fox Trot Creative Studios who gave us this beautiful banner. Our furniture that we used to sit on is by Garrett Brothers Home and Decor. We have so many. The Corazon is so nice to allow us. And our caterer to us is the incredible Barillo's Pizza. Please serve. Barillo's. Look at this, people. Thank you. Yes. Look at this. I'm ready to cancel the show and dig in. I mean, mamma mia. This is pizza. One of our oldest pizzerias in town. Give this to one of our technicians here. So, you know, it is the people of St. Augustine that have made this show. I cannot tell you how many people have lent us their trucks, lend us equipment, have supported us financially because they thought this show was a great idea. So, you know, let's give a hand to all the people I cannot mention here that have been so kind, so kind. Yes, you know, in the news, oh, wow, this week is full of news. You know, it seems every word I hear in the news is all about Russia, 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 Russia. I feel like I talk like Vladimir, I want to talk in Russian. But let me tell you, if you want some Russian news, I'll give you some news right out of Moscow. In Moscow right now, they're breaking down or taking the wrecking ball to hundreds of buildings in the center of Moscow where all these middle-class people live. Over 1 million people are affected by this. And supposedly, they're going to put them somewhere else, okay? And these people actually believe they're going to come back to better buildings, not knowing that really these buildings are going to be modern and it's going to be for the people with the cash, okay? But, so if you want Russian news, there it is. Now, if you want some royal news, I got Meiko. Meiko is a princess in Japan. She's the granddaughter of the Emperor of Japan. And she's getting married to a commoner. So now she's no longer going to be a princess. Aww. But as she leaves the palace and she loses all her privileges and she has to go to Costco and get her membership card or Sam's Club, whatever, she gets a one-time payment. They give her a check. I wish I could look in the envelope. And this, I guess, sets her for life. And she'll live with her sweetie. In other news, we have the big news this week was Basquiat. Does anyone know who Basquiat is? Basquiat is a young kid out of New York, born in Brooklyn. His father was from Haiti, his mother was from Puerto Rico. And he was an artist and a graffiti artist. He died at the age of 27. But him and another Hispanic kid named Diaz started doing this graffiti in the city. And this became a buzz because it was a mystery. No one knew where this graffiti came from, and it had this poetic message. So there'd be traffic jams in New York in the 70s and 80s. People said, oh, the graffiti appeared. And all these people would go to see it. Some people would start removing the wall to keep the graffiti or take the object where it was on. And people got arrested for this. Well, Basquiat also did art. And though he came up from a poor upbringing, his name is Jean-Michel Basquiat, he got to work with Andy Warhol, who loved his work. He suddenly became the artist. Today, he's considered the most influential artist of the 20th century. Could you imagine that for a kid who was 27? And this week, they sold his skull, it's this graffiti skull with lots of colors, it's very interesting, for $110 million. It is the most money ever for an American artist, ever. So he holds the record. So wherever he is, rest in peace. But lucky you, Mr. Jean-Michel. Too bad. My dad used to say that. The problem being an artist is all the money comes after you're dead. And I guess my dad was right. In other news, in India, there's a grandmother who started a little cooking show. She's become the sensation of India. She's getting about 6 million hits a day. She's 106 years old. So that makes her technically the oldest YouTuber to have his own YouTube channel. And she cooks, you know, typical Indian food. Hey, you know, mama's cooking, you know, grandma's cooking. So this is amazing. And to end, there's a plant car out there. In the Netherlands, they've built a car made out of plants. All the materials are made out of plants, which means this car, everything in this car, which goes about 80 kilometers an hour, so figure about maybe 50 miles an hour or 40 miles an hour, is totally recyclable. Totally recyclable. The whole thing, broom. You can leave it in the trash bin for the recycle in the morning. Yeah. There's a car in the trash bin. So it's amazing. They haven't reached mass production yet, but that's their plan, to create an alternative. And it's small. It's so small. Well, no, not so small. It's so light that you don't need power steering. And I saw a part where the car was like kind of stuck in the curve, and two guys just picked it up from behind and just moved it, straightened it out, and it went on its way. So this is amazing. But you know what's amazing? It's the guests we're going to have tonight. Let's give a hand for our guests. We have Anne Kraft, we have Debra Ingram, and we have our musical guest, Mr. Dennis Fermin. And we'll be right back after these messages.
At St. Augustine Distillery, we're part of a new generation of American craft distillers. Family owned and operated, we are committed to making the best possible spirits using local agriculture. Our distillers make everything by hand, from mashing and blending to distilling and tasting each and every batch. We distill and bottle everything we sell, making sure that the spirits are just right before barreling and aging. Bottled by real people, we love showing our guests not only what we do, but why we do it. We're passionate about educating our guests to not only what goes into each bottle, but how to make the best possible cocktails. We love St. Augustine, and thanks to your purchases, we're able to give back to the community and help local organizations each and every day.
Thank you for your support.
Thank you for your support.
Thank you for your support.
St. Augustine Distillery, handmade with pride in the nation's oldest city.
At Martinez & Associates, we can help you with many things. Number one is income for life throughout your retirement, which is very important. Number two would be Medicare choices, which are very confusing. Number three is a legacy for your loved ones. And finally, keeping you independent throughout retirement. My name is Tuli Martinez. Call this number y hablamos español.
And now a little taste of our musical guest, Dennis Fermin.
Our ingredients are mostly natural. It's palm oil, coconut oil, olive oil. We put cocoa butter, shea butter, and real silk in our soaps. Also, it's something that's pleasing to the eye and you enjoy using it. Come visit us at Antoinette's Bathhouse.
We're back, ladies and gentlemen. We're back with an amazing person, Anne Kraft.
Thank you. Thank you.
So nice to have you.
Thank you. I'm so pleased to be here. Thank you for asking me.
Yes, yes. You know, I see you around town so active in theater ever since I've been here in St. Augustine. And you have quite a history with theater. But tell us, where are you from originally?
I'm from here, St. Augustine.
You were born here?
I was born here, raised here, and I left at the age of 19.
And headed to?
New York City.
Oh, wow, a country mouse.
Yeah, oh, yes.
Oh, wow.
Very much so. I was terrified.
I mean, from this to a city with subways and buses and the heck, oh, my Lord.
Yeah, it took me a year to be able to get on a subway.
A year?
A year.
So you were taking buses or walking?
Yes.
Oh, wow. And what took you to New York?
Well, actually, an elderly friend of my mother's, who was then deceased, took me there to introduce me to impresarios. I was a singer then. And she had been a singer in New York, and she wanted to introduce me to some. And I went and I sang for them, and I did not knock their socks off. But so they sent me away with saying, keep smiling. So she, and after those auditions, she came back to St. Augustine, and I didn't. I stayed.
Oh, wow. You said, I'm not going back, not yet.
Yeah.
You thought you were going to stay another year or something like that? And
Who
then a year
knew?
turned into 2, 3, 4?
I don't seem to live with a plan. I just go with the flow.
How long did you stay?
30 years.
Oh. 30 years
Yeah.
later, then you decided to leave New York. And what did you do in New York in those 30 years?
Oh, I got married. I had a daughter. I was in shows. My husband was an actor. I thought we'd be the next London Fontaine. We weren't. But ultimately, my daughter got into theater also at the age of 7. So she and her father, of course, was an actor, director, and we just muddled through, and I did a lot of off Broadway things. That was my training ground. I loved it. I just
coming from New York, the best stuff I've seen was always off Broadway.
Yes,
And then it ends up on Broadway.
Well, off Broadway, that's where you see the heart, the soul of it. It's not about the money there. It's about the soul.
Right,
Yeah.
right. Yeah, they take it seriously.
Yeah.
But New York is such a competitive, cutthroat place. I mean, you'll see an audition, there'll be 1,000 people for an audition. And it's yeah, I don't know. I used to, my way of releasing anger, because there were so little parts for Hispanics, was I'd go for auditioning for Brigadoon or something very Irish, you know, and I'd be there. The people in the line would keep looking at me. Does he realize he doesn't look like an O'Leary, you know?
That's so funny, and that is so good, because when I went to New York, my maiden name is Doyle. So I was very Irish, and I thought that was too ethnic. So I searched around for all kinds of stage names. I went through a million of them.
But New York City's theater has evolved. You know, now there are theaters that do wonderful African American playwrights. You got the Puerto Rican Traveling Theater. You have so much theater in New York.
The creativity is vibrant and alive. And
So when you came back, the theater bug was still in you then.
Yes, it never left. But I came back via Hollywood, California.
Oh.
I had a short stint there.
Okay.
And I ended up coming back here because I fell in love with a man that was moving here, ironically. And so then I met Jean Rayner.
Okay.
And she gave me a call one day and said, hey, the Monson needs something to happen there on their stage. Want to give it a try? I said, sure, why not?
And so you guys started eventually what we know as the Limelight
That's
Theater.
right, yeah.
That is such an institution now.
It is, isn't it?
Yes.
Oh God, we're all institutions now.
But how long did you, I mean, was that easy to start? Was
It seemed easy. I mean, we just took it step at a time. We didn't have 2 cents to our names, and people just volunteered putting things together, and of course the stage was there. We had a deal with the owner of the Monson you couldn't refuse. I mean, he wanted something there.
Right.
So we paid no rent. We
yeah.
only paid him a percentage of each ticket sold. So if no one came, we didn't pay him anything.
Oh.
How could you turn that down?
Right,
And,
exactly.
so as an investment, our time was that we opened and people came.
And it was that physical building it's in now, or was it somewhere else?
No, now it's, no, it was on the Bayfront,
Okay.
the Monson Bayfront Resort, which
all
is
right.
now some big hotel.
The Hilton, is it?
The Hilton, yes.
I think it's the Hilton, yes.
We go to lunch occasionally once a year there and say, we were here before you were. So much fun.
And then eventually you found the building where it's at now on Mission.
Ultimately, yes,
Yes,
because
yes.
after we left the Monson because the owner had a little lounge off to the side, and then he moved them into the lobby in front of where the theater was, and the trombones were playing. It was a jazz group, and we couldn't. We pinned slabs of foam against the walls
try to
and
keep
stapled.
the sound
it
out.
didn't work, so we had to leave, and we were homeless for 18 months or so.
Wow. Wow.
And then ultimately we did a show that enabled us to get some money in the coffers, and we then rented the building behind KK's Tires on US 1.
Oh.
Kitty corner to then where Kmart was.
Yes.
So then we were there for about 6 years, and then through another wonderful woman, Luba Estes, whose family, the Jakowski family, she enabled us to apply for a grant through her family. We bought the building on US 1, I mean on Old Mission.
Old Mission.
Yeah.
Wow, wow. And
So-
and did you, to me it seems that something like that consumes you totally.
Oh, yes.
I mean,
I even slept in the theater on occasion when a grant was due, and I was writing the grants, and it was deadline time, and I'd be the only one there. Just
Yes.
take a little nap on the couch and up back again at the
wow, because
computer.
when it's something's that small, you have to do everything.
That's right. What an
you
adventure,
do electrical
though.
work, you do carpentry work, you do the books.
I
you do-
changed a lot of light bulbs, so every time I walk into a building, I still have the habit of looking up and saying, oh, that one's out.
Yeah. Get me a ladder, I'll take care of it now.
No,
But
it's funny.
wow, so when you, what kind of theater were you doing? Once you started there and you figured you had a permanent base?
We did all kinds of theater. Non-musicals, though, mostly, because
Okay.
they were too expensive. Small casts and comedies and dramas, and we did things that had something to say. And we were so lucky in those days. We did a lot of shows that we didn't even know what they were about, but once they came alive, there it was. There was a message. It was very exciting. It was wonderful.
Yes,
It was
yes.
just so exciting. Plus, the
Yes.
people who came to be the actors, we always paid them. It was
Right.
very little, but we
Yes.
paid them something because
yeah.
we felt, you know, they deserved to be acknowledged in
Yes.
that way.
Yes, no,
And,
and no, I know what you're saying. Sometimes you'll read a play, and you'll have the reading, and it takes another shape. Then you actually bring it where voice and body and motion and the
Yeah.
words, and it's just another flower, you know. It's totally
Well,
different.
I learned something about myself that I don't always see what's on the written page. And one particular show was Laughter on the 23rd Floor. Well, I read it. I went, oh no, we can't do this. It's nothing but F this, F that. It was all the way through. Every other word was F this. I went, no, we can't do that. and it was a comedy. This is not funny. Excuse me. But when the actors, I was overruled, thank goodness, because the actors came, and when they read it and did it, oh my God, it was hysterical. It was so
That's
wonderful.
what I mean.
So I learned I can't trust myself on certain things.
Yes, you have to bring it as close to what it would look like on a stage before you determine whether it's worth putting all the work, because there's tons of work.
Well, you have to trust the people you're working with
True,
and
yes.
give in to their judgment sometimes.
Yes.
Yeah.
So now what groups are you involved in now in theater?
I retired from the limelight 10 years ago. My God, already. I'm with the Classic Theater now.
Yes, I've
Jean
seen some
Rayner,
of your work, and it's been
the founder
wonderful.
of that. So we are together again in that sense. And we do just a few shows a year.
Right.
So that's my theater thing, but I've become a independent actor, director around the area.
Okay.
This last year I've done a show in Palm Coast, 2 shows actually, directed one in Flagler County, my first big musical directing. Thank goodness had a lot of help. It was exciting. And I've taken up ballroom dancing, so.
Yeah, I saw you in Dancing Stars or something, and
last
you
year.
won that.
I did.
I must say, with a tango.
Yes.
Yes, that's the way to go. That's the way to go. Yes, I saw that, and I said, "Oh my Lord, look at her! You were great, spectacular."
Thank you.
And credit to all the other people. That's very hard for you to volunteer and a person say, "Well, I want to dance," but that was very, very interesting. So what? And you also in Palm Coast sometimes, aren't you?
Yes.
Well, in Flagler County, our neighbor.
Yeah. I do shows at the City Repertory Theater Company.
Wow.
And I'm doing a one-woman show again in Atlantic Beach at the Atlantic Beach Experimental Theater in July.
Wow.
The Year of Magical Thinking again.
Oh, that is such a. To me, it's a spiritual play. Really.
It is. It's very powerful, and
yes.
it has an incredible message that we all need to be reminded of. And that message is that life changes in the instant. We forget that. We think we've got tomorrow and tomorrow and tomorrow. Well, I'm getting to the age where those tomorrows are a lot shorter.
Right.
And but the part I like to bring to this show, the message is. Yes, life does change, so don't wait. Do what you want to do now.
Right. My dad used to say this to me all the time. All you need, young man, is one bad day, and your life is different. And I never forgot that, you know. And you see it around. People have a bad day, which they don't. I just had a friend in California, just like that. And it brings you that you're mortal. You're mortal, and that's very important. And theater is a wonderful way to live many lives.
Oh, and
many lives, you know.
Every time I do this play, and I've done it, this will be the 7th production. Of course, a production, it's just me. But I learned something new from it, but it changed my life, the way I look at life and the way I behave in my life. I don't wait.
Right.
I do it now.
Yes. Well, I want to thank you. We've run out of time. And I need to have you here again, definitely, and it was a pleasure.
Thank you so much. I enjoyed it. Thank you. Thank you all.
Anne Kraft, amazing. All right. Okay, that's for you to keep.
Oh, thank you.
Yes, your souvenir.
At Martinez & Associates, we can help you with many things. Number 1 is income for life throughout your retirement, which is very important. Number 2 would be Medicare choices, which are very confusing. Number 3 is a legacy for your loved ones. And finally, keeping you independent throughout retirement. My name is Tuli Martinez. Call this number. Y hablamos español.
At St. Augustine Distillery, we're part of a new generation of American craft distillers. Family owned and operated, we are committed to making the best possible spirits using local agriculture. Our distillers make everything by hand, from mashing and blending to distilling and tasting each and every batch. We distill and bottle everything we sell, making sure that the spirits are just right before barreling and aging. Bottled by real people, we love showing our guests not only what we do, but why we do it. We're passionate about educating our guests to not only what goes into each bottle, but how to make the best possible cocktails. We love St. Augustine, and thanks to your purchases, we're able to give back to the community and help local organizations each and every day.
Thank you for your support.
Thank you for your support.
Thank you for your support.
St. Augustine Distillery, handmade with pride in the nation's oldest city.
We're back, ladies and gentlemen. And this time we are with Debra Ingram. Yes, so nice to have you. She's responsible for this thing you see right here, which is beautiful. I ran into Debra at the Manatee Cafe. As you know, it's a wonderful little place on 16. If you love to eat healthy and delicious, that is a place. And she works here once in a while. And she also has these, what do you call these?
Terrariums.
Terrariums, okay. I'm still struggling with the word. And what is a terrarium, if you had to?
Well, it's own little ecosystem that, you know, photosynthesis is in there, the plants, it creates its own little environment, very little care, and beautiful to look at.
It's a planet. It's a little planet.
Mm-hmm.
I've seen some huge of these that she makes. How long have you been making these?
Well, in the 70s.
Wow.
And I was working at a little place that had glass pickle jars, if you'll remember that. Now they're plastic. And they were quite huge. And I said, I got to do something with that. And I knew how to make terrariums, so I started making them for folks. And
wow.
so yes, I've been making them a long time.
So how old is this one?
That one I made this morning.
Okay. Okay, now, how old is the oldest one that you know is out there?
Oh, my mother has one that
From?
I made in college, which, you know,
So
that's
it's-
the 80s, yeah.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, so, yeah.
And it's still vibrant. What do you need to do to keep these things? I had a bonsai tree, and it should have been recorded as a horrible murder of a plant, because I thought, and I just watched it die, and I had nothing I could do.
Well, that's the good thing about them. They're so low maintenance, and a lot of people that purchase them say, you know, I kill things. How do you maintain it? How do you get that plant in there? You know, and I come up, you know, with some funny stories sometimes, but you know, actually, when they're smaller like this and they have a more narrow top, I use swivel brooms, coat hangers, anything, a lot of different things.
It's like building a ship.
Yeah, like similar,
Yeah,
very
yeah.
similar. People compare it to that, yes. But it's like, you know, I use clippings and different little plants that grow well and root easily, and they just take off by themselves, and you really don't have to do a lot. And the biggest error anybody does is maybe put too much water in there.
That's my thing. I have so many questions. Where do you get these beautiful? Does someone make these for
town.
you? You go searching for these.
I'm looking for someone, a glass blower, because you know, I'm on a trail right now, but mostly it's just looking. I go everywhere.
Antique shops, garage sales.
Yeah, and you know, local merchants and stuff. I look for them there, but it's like they're just one medium that I do, you know, terrariums, but it's kind of from my heart, you know, the earth and just such a live gift, you know.
Would you say these are therapeutic and healing for you when you work on?
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
And then you just smell them. You take the top off and just smells like the earth, you know. And yes, I love them very much, and they are relaxing for me, and they're all different, and I have them all the way up the eastern seaboard, people have bought them and taken them home from St. Augustine. And
Do you still get people emailing you about them?
oh yes, and they'll, you know, I have one very large one, like you said, in the University of Auburn, and it's in the administration. You know, it's there with the academics.
And when you say large, please
this
define.
one was about this big.
Really?
Yeah,
Size of
so-
this chair, basically.
And it had a very narrow top, so I'm there with my whiffer broom, putting things in it and stuff. You know, it's comical, but I do it. You know, it's fun.
Now, something like this, I mean, after so many years, you must have it down to a commando operation. But how long does it basically take you to put, let's say, this one together?
It all depends if I can get my hand into it, but something like this is a little more time consuming.
Okay,
And
all right.
because even it's smaller, it's more, you know, it
So
takes more
hours,
time to get
8
in
hours,
there.
5
An
hours?
hour, it all depends.
It all depends, the size.
Unless I have to have all my materials, and if I think of a certain plant I want, I have to run to the front of the house or the back of the garage or pick something, you know, that
Wow.
counts for
So
time.
here's my other, what kind of plants grow in bottles?
Well,
When you go in.
succulents do better if it's open. You know, you see those are popular today, you know, like cactus and things like that. They don't do well in a container like this because, you know, they're basically water themselves. So, but, you know, something like this, just indigenous plants around. I used to just pick things out of the yard, and then I started getting more into it, but just easy house plants, just anything
I
that
guess
will
moss
grow.
would grow in there quite
Moss,
nicely?
I do have some moss. I actually, you know, go to North Carolina and Tennessee and get some moss out of my sister's backyard sometimes.
Is it legal to bring moss across state lines?
If it's out of my sister's backyard, and yeah.
So,
They won't chase me down for that.
no. Okay, check the car for moss. But what's interesting about this is I see a rock in there also. It reminds me almost like an empty fish tank with all the beauty of it and without the fish living by itself.
Yeah.
I mean, it's amazing. Now, about how many of these do you make in a month or something?
Just supply and demand. People ask me, you know, they're at the Manatee, and so when I sell a few, I'll make a few and find good jars, and then I'm, you know, tempted to, you know, make a little more. But the biggest thing, the biggest questions I get is how I get things in there.
Right.
How does it breathe?
Yes, because right now this one,
Yeah, it's better for it to be sealed, and it maintains itself better. But, you know, people forget the process of our basic biology.
The planet
You know,
works like this.
Yes, the planet works like that. And you see the condensation on the side.
Uh-huh.
It'll actually collect and act as rain and go down and rain, you know, on the little forest there, and it maintains itself like that. you
unbelievable.
know, so.
Has any of them had little live creatures in there?
Oh yes. But
Really?
when I get my plants, I had snails. You know, I'll see things crawling around sometimes.
I
and
could see two snails saying, "Hey
yeah.
Johnny, what happened to us? Where are
they
we?"
just make the rounds. It's their world. So,
I mean, it's like,
but yes,
how did we get into this
it,
place?
it could maintain, you know. But yes, snails. You know, there's enough oxygen for them. But you know, I wouldn't put anything in there.
Well, that was my other thing. You know, like in real gardens, people use like these weed things, poisons and stuff like that.
Yeah.
That takes care of itself.
Yes, and people say, do you fertilizer? And I go, no, you want to contain the plants, and they do grow, and you need to do a little pruning once in a while. And they said, well, what if it dies, and if you can't get your hand down in there? Then I say, take a stick and poke it down into the earth, and and put something else in. You know, they're
Wow.
very easy. And
So you become like the MD. People call you for questions
Yes.
about them as they.
I've had some people bring them back and just look at me, and I go, well, I said not to water it, but not, you know, 3 years. It might need a little, you know, that happens.
Well, you know, people could kill anything. I mean, you know.
Yeah, but it's hard. They're hard.
They're hard to kill, yes.
And I do ask. They are like my babies, and people will come in. I go, "How's your terrarium?" "Oh, it's beautiful," you know, and
That's
it's doing
right.
well. So I do, even with my little care note. made with love, and so I do send
So you
that
put
lead with
messages
them.
in there too?
I've done that. I put a little message bottle once and put, all you need is love, and stuck it in there, and I go, oh, maybe they'll find that one day in there.
Now, do you have a style that someone could see one of these and says, I think Debra made this one?
Uh-huh.
Yeah?
Yes, yes. Actually, somebody said they saw one Palaka at a restaurant that they said, Deb, I know I saw one of your terrariums there. And I go, most likely, you know, but I do. I do like to make them interesting, put neat little, you know, covers on them and stuff, and I definitely have a style.
Oh,
yes.
wow. I mean, this is breathtaking.
Thank you.
It is really, really beautiful. And I love all these little things you do.
Yes.
You know, I guess it's the hippie in you, huh?
Yeah,
That
flower
has that
child.
Flower
child that's
okay.
in me, yes.
Yeah, yeah. No, because it reminds me of the 70s where you'd see things like these. I remember going to people's homes. They became very popular then. And you saw them. I was young. I didn't ask questions. I said, well, there's a plant in a bottle. But I saw them there again. It was like, whoa,
Very
like seeing
nostalgic.
a psychedelic poster. Like, whoa.
Yay.
I forgot about that.
People are very nostalgic about them because they do, you know, they do recall, I made one of those, and you know, and so yeah, they're nostalgic,
Wow.
and children love them. They're very interested.
These would be great in a school for children.
And teachers do buy them.
Yeah,
Yep,
yeah,
yep.
teach
And
them.
then I tell them how they're made, and I give all the secrets away because I love for anybody to, you know,
Go ahead,
make
yeah.
them up, you know. so.
Right, right. And now a question is, how many of these do you have in your home?
Oh, I do have about 6 going, and they're special jars, is what it is, and you know I get attached to a certain jar, or my mother's given me some antique jars, and they, you know, have to throw something in it, you know, and yeah, so yeah,
Now,
I've got several.
I had Kyle Goodwin, who's a glass carver, and I asked him the question, is it something you carve in glass that there's a little pain to part with? Are there some of these that you've made and you said, oh, it's for somebody?
I watch them go out the door, I do.
Oh, man.
And I tell people, I like to see who I sell them to,
Right.
or, you know, and a lot more go out, I see somebody I hadn't seen for a while, oh, you need a terrarium, you know, or new babies coming.
I think it changes people's moods, it affects them, it creates, you affect their energy in a
and
positive
I've
way.
given total strangers, this one lady, she kept on looking at this one, and she just, you know, and I just said, her husband was following, I said, give that to her.
You have a beautiful heart,
Oh,
that's why.
thanks.
But I know you do other stuff like papier-mâché, and I want to bring you back to talk about that.
Okay.
The question, I know you do so many things, is where do you find the time to find these bottles, work these things?
Work 2 jobs in town.
Yeah.
And, keeps me out of trouble.
You know, maybe you discovered the metric day, right?
Right.
100-hour day. But these are beautiful. I thank you so much.
Aw,
and
thanks.
yes,
Thanks for inviting me. This is great.
Well, it's great because this is a whole different form of art, and I think it needs to be exposed, the beauty of it.
Thank
so,
you.
thank you again. We will be back after these messages with our musical guest.
Our ingredients are mostly natural. It's palm oil, coconut oil, olive oil. We put cocoa butter, shea butter, and real silk in our soaps. Also, it's something that's pleasing to the eye, and you enjoy using it. Come visit us at Antoinette's Bathhouse.
In her special way, and I just have to say, in my life, I love that woman, 'cause she's more than I deserve, and she gets me where I live. I'll give all I have to give. I'm talking about that hummingbird.
At Martinez & Associates, we can help you with many things. Number 1 is income for life throughout your retirement, which is very important. Number 2 would be Medicare choices, which are very confusing. Number 3 is a legacy for your loved ones. And finally, keeping you independent throughout retirement. My name is Tuli Martinez. Call this number. Y hablamos español.
And we're back, ladies and gentlemen, for those messages. And this is our third guest, Dennis Fermin. It's nice to have you. He's our musical guest, and I see you playing all around town. I've been here for years, and your guitar is very hypnotic, you know. And when I listen to you, being of this Spanish background where we grow up listening to a lot of that kind of music, it's I don't know, it makes me homesick sometimes. So how long have you been playing?
Geez, about 27 years now.
27 years. And originally you're from where?
Actually, the opposite of Anne. I was born and raised in New York, Queens.
Oh, New York, Queens.
And here we are in St. Augustine.
Oh, wow. And you have a Spanish heritage, too.
Yes, my parents are, my mom's Puerto Rican, dad's Dominican, of course, you know, so we have, you know, Spanish ancestry before that. And yeah, so it's been,
wow.
you know, I never thought I'd be playing this style of music. I grew up on hard rock and
hard rock, and that's what I say. How did you end up with the guitar? Was that the first instrument that, as a young man, brought your attention?
You know, being in a Latin family, you know, when you're a little kid, you know, you have all the parties and blah, blah, blah. So, you know, maracas, you know, bongos, you know, all this percussion stuff when you're a kid, claves, you know, guidos. So we had fun, you know, growing up you know, my dad played guitar, my parents sang. And
was your dad a good guitar player?
You know, basic rhythms, you know.
Okay.
Just, you know, basic player, nothing. No, he didn't play professionally.
But you carry a tune.
Yeah.
Carry a tune.
So, you know, it was definitely an inspiration. And so when I was a kid, I used to, you know, hand percussion instruments. You know, I really enjoy, you know, just,
Congas, bongos.
Yeah.
We're young males, we need to beat things.
Yeah, we used to have the Dominican drum. I forgot what they call the two-sided Dominican drum.
You
know, my dad used to have, and I used to play that thing to death. It was awesome.
Wow.
It was fun. A lot of fun.
Wow. And so how did you end up in flamenco guitar? Your genre would be, what, modern flamenco probably?
You know, I call it, well, I mean, I go under Spanish guitar, Fermin Spanish guitar, but
yes.
But I think it's more of like a modern flamenco with some Spanish, Caribbean, or Latin influences. And how did I get into that? That's a good question, you know. Did
you start on that guitar, or did you start on a different type of guitar?
No, well, I used to play electric guitar.
Electric
for
guitar?
Years. Yeah, doing the hard rock and stuff like that. And then somehow, you know, I mean, mixing it with the Latin was a no-brainer because I've heard this, you know, and it's part of my culture, my upbringing.
Well, Santana brought that whole rock Latin fusion.
But then, at one time, when we lived in Arizona, I heard guys like, Amar Libre too, but Govi and what's the guy at the Esteban? He used to play in St. Augustine. I'm sorry, in Arizona.
Arizona.
And listening to some of these guys, like, wow, man, this stuff is just awesome. It's just beautiful. It's just, you know, it really gets under your skin. And I started, you know, learning a little bit about it, and it just kind of grew into what it is today.
Wow, wow. And so suddenly you make the switch from rock to this Spanish-flavored flamenco type. Was it difficult? Was there a learning curve?
Yes, absolutely. There's a lot of things to learn, some different Spanish techniques, flamenco techniques, stuff like that. You know, it's a whole different, I mean, using a lot of the same tools, scales and all that kind of stuff, but it's a whole different application of them.
Does it move faster?
Well, in some ways, yes, in some ways, no, but, you know.
Yeah.
Yeah, and there was a transition period. I did Spanish rock in between for a while.
Spanish rock.
And that was when we were living in Georgia in between everything. So yeah, and then it kind of eventually, then I did like some Latin jazz kind of stuff. Aquellos ojos verdes, besame mucho, that kind of stuff.
Besame mucho.
For a little while, and then it gravitated towards this. And,
And so how long you been in St. Augustine?
About 7 years now.
Oh, wow. And when you look back at guitar music, what artists you think influenced you?
Well, it depends how far back you want to go.
Well, let's go as back as we can.
Oh, geez.
First guitar thing
you
heard and you say, I like that.
Way back, Ace Frehley from Kiss.
Kiss. Oh, my God.
You know, Randy Rhoads. Let's see the guy.
How about Jeff Beck, who was big on guitar?
Yeah, I mean, I liked him. I had maybe one album his. You know, I wasn't like a huge fan, but a great player. Yeah.
How about George Benson? He was.
Yeah, good stuff. But I was more into a little more rock, like Joe Satriani, Steve Vai,
Steve Vai, yeah.
Of course, Eddie Van Halen is awesome.
And so when you made the transition to kind of go into another phase of music, and you start going into this, it's almost classical guitar, you know. I mean, if you do flamenco, you could do classical guitar. Who was your influence then?
In this new genre, it's guys like well, I mean, Paco de Lucia. He's more,
Paco de Lucia, he died what, 2 years ago or something?
Yeah, real
big sadness.
Big shot in the arm for the flamenco community. But yeah, guys like that, and then of course you have Jesse Cook, Amar Liebert.
Segovia, probably?
Segovia, yeah.
He's classical, but...
Yeah, a little more classical. Yeah, I mean, of course, beautiful music, but it's not really my, my thing.
Is that what you listen to also, when you're listening to guitar music?
Sometimes, yeah. If I'm, especially pre-writing mode, trying to absorb some ideas and, some different things. And
because you compose too. You have your own CDs and everything.
Yeah, I think we've got about, I can't even keep track, like 6 or 7 now, I think.
Wow. And your music, if I wanted to buy your music or get your music, where would I go?
You can go to the website ferminspanishguitar.com, which is
Spanish guitar?
F-E-R-M-I-N.
Yes, the name, Fermin. First time I've ever seen it, Fermin. Yeah.
Oh, it's all over Spanish.
I never ran into anyone named Fermin. And but I found, he looks Spanish. He plays a Spanish guitar. Is he really Spanish, or is he an imposter? And but wow, you play. Where do you play when you play?
Here in St. Augustine, we do Mondays at the Chianti Room. Sometimes we do the Gourmet Hut, once in a while on a weekend. We've been doing a lot of private events, a lot of corporate events, weddings, cocktail hours.
Now you say we because you're not always playing alone.
Right. Sometimes solo, usually solo, but a lot of times, sometimes we do duo and trio performances. We have my daughter will perform with me.
Your daughter, I saw her. She's about what, 20 years old?
20. Yep.
And I saw her in an event, and she's there.
Yep.
And is that the reason she?
Well, yeah. I mean, I teach, and I used to teach, and I still teach now as well. So, I brought the kids up a little bit with the music, years back, and so yeah, she's still playing to this day. And then we have Dorian Lopez, which is usually our main percussionist. Great player. Love to play with him. He plays everything, man. Bongos, congas, the cajon, the drum. He does it all, man.
He's a music man. I call people like that music people. They play wind instruments, string instruments. It's like they understand the math and they can do any sort of equation. I always feel that's a gift, because I'd struggle. If you gave me a guitar and just taught me one chord, I bet I'd struggle for weeks with just that chord. And some people are just like, pfft. But here's my island question. If you're on an island and you can only listen to one piece of music, knowing it would not drive you insane, what would you probably listen to?
Last time you asked me that, it was, I didn't have an answer for you. That's a tough one, it really is, of course, being a musician. And just out of the blue, I don't know, I was talking to my wife about it, I was like, you know what, probably Staying Alive.
Staying Alive! Oh! But that doesn't shock me, because I've talked to so many musicians who say, I love Bach. Bach, 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 the whole conversation. Then I give them the island question, they said, a suite by Debussy. And it's like, and they catch it. I didn't say Bach, did I? No, you did not, and it's that. So it doesn't shock me that you pick something totally. What do you like about that beat?
It just has a great groove to it. You got that infectious bass line. You want to.
You want me to break your heart? That's the beat you use when you're giving CPR. Staying alive. Ta 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 ta. That's the beat you use. But hey, this is it. If you're doing CPR and you're having a hard time, you can't do the 1 Mississippi, 2 Mississippi. You can do Staying Alive. Pa 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 pa. And you might save a life. Yeah. Okay.
Thank you for sharing that. All right. It's a whole different way of looking at it. It's great.
But if you looked at, let's say, something you liked, when you're in private, what do you like to play? You play everything, or is there something that you're always attracted to?
You know what? I mean, it's funny. I perform so much that honestly, other than the writing mode, I don't really play much, just for practice sake or whatever.
And when you write, what is it? Does it come, or is it something you keep working on and working on and working on?
Sometimes it's just sitting down, and just kind of, and sometimes it's absorbing ideas from other players or other songs. But sometimes it's just out in the field, I have a looper pedal. Sometimes I'll use that and I'll just loop some rhythms and come up with some cool little melodies and some cool ideas, and it eventually will turn into a song.
So how do you see your music in the future? Fermin in 10 years from now.
You know, probably maybe just infusing it with other styles, maybe a little more, maybe doing like an album with maybe a little more jazz, or maybe doing another album with a little more maybe Caribbean music. You know, little things like that.
Experimenting like a cook, bringing in different.
Yeah, you know, man, we're musicians. You know, we get bored easy. We gotta, you know, we gotta stir the pot a little bit.
I love that line. I love that line. So, what do you like about St. Augustine? Playing in St. Augustine?
I mean, you know, it's a beautiful town. I mean, you know, and I mean, the reason, well, that's a whole different thing. But you know, my wife's maiden name is Avila's, so she has some. I'm sure she has some roots here because that name originated from the town.
Yeah.
Anyway, but that's yeah. It's just you know, it's a great town and great people, great you know, lots of opportunities for entertainment. And,
yes, there's so many venues for you musicians. But is it competitive out there to find venues for musicians?
A little bit, but it's good and bad. You know, doing the Spanish is hard. Honestly, because we're in the South. You know, there aren't too many venues that are interested in this music. To be honest with you, there's a few. You know, that are either upscale or Spanish or something like that. That
because it's funny because this town screams Spain when you're in it.
I know.
And
funny?
Spanish music, you know, it's okay, you know, that kind of thing. And that always to me, yeah, when I came here with a friend a long time, I remember she said, oh, this is being in southern Spain. This is so, and she saw Flagler, you know, the architecture, this Moorish kind of architecture, and it says, unbelievable that in a place like this, in Florida, you find a town like this that is so Espanol, you know, and the kings have been here, and there was a little consulate. I mean, there's so much Spain. I'd love to have you again, my brother. And would you play something for us?
Yeah, absolutely.
All right. When we come back, we're going to have Dennis Fermin on that beautiful Spanish guitar.
At St. Augustine Distillery, we're part of a new generation of American craft distillers. Family owned and operated, we are committed to making the best possible spirits using local agriculture. Our distillers make everything by hand, from mashing and blending to distilling and tasting each and every batch. We distill and bottle everything we sell, making sure that the spirits are just right before barreling and aging. Bottled by real people, we love showing our guests not only what we do, but why we do it. We're passionate about educating our guests to not only what goes into each bottle, but how to make the best possible cocktails. We love St. Augustine, and thanks to your purchases, we're able to give back to the community and help local organizations each and every day.
Thank you for your support.
Thank you for your support.
Thank you for your support.
St. Augustine Distillery, handmade with pride in the nation's oldest city.
At Martinez & Associates, we can help you with many things. Number one is income for life throughout your retirement, which is very important. Number two would be Medicare choices, which are very confusing. Number three is a legacy for your loved ones. And finally, keeping you independent throughout retirement. My name is Tuli Martinez. Call this number. Y hablamos español.
And now, Dennis Fermin. Amazing. Thank you. That's our show for tonight, and stay tuned next week. We'll be right back next week with something fantastic again. Thank you.